Hi, everybody. My name is Ellison Spangler. I work here at Roanoke College. I am an assistant director for residence life and housing, but I was also a student here as well. So I graduated in 2022 and decided to come back on pro staff to continue serving the college and kind of working with students who kind of were having the same journey as I was. And in my first year, I had decided to, kind of look at some options for students that maybe needs weren't being met and things like that. And thus the One Campus Pantry was started. And I'll get more into the story about it in a second, but I would like to first start, hopefully, by talking about some current statistics for college students right now. These were really impactful for me when I was trying to figure out, really who we were going to be serving with this pantry. And, currently we are seeing an inflation rate of 15.1%. I don't think this is the most recent number, but this is average cost of living has gone up intensely. And, everybody in here, I feel like, has been impacted by that. I know I have, and it is definitely hard to deal with. Um, Another statistic I found to be super interesting and helpful was that 61% of students pay for their own colleges. I was a part of this number of students who paid for their own college. And with the, number of how much it costs for students to go to college, this is significant. And we do tend to see, a lot of students who pay for their own college are also on a Pell Grant. So we do see 33% of our undergrad students attending four-year public institutions receive a Pell Grant. And, that's through FAFSA and things like that. So that's a good information to have in your back pocket when considering the inflation rate. And, a lot of those students are also paying for their own colleges. With this as well, I always like to share the statistic just as kind of a background of why this is important. Too, is that 43% of full-time college students also have other jobs. So, we tend to see that college is a job for most people. It's a long week of classes and homework and things like that. And with balancing that and social life and studies, they are also balancing work as well. And we do tend to see that people who are part-time students will also work even more. So we see about 60% of part-time students will also have another job. But to get into kind of the story behind the pantry, the why, I'd like to bring up these two gentlemen in my life. This is with the fun hat on. That's my grandfather. His name was James Henry Smith. He sorry, I get very weird talking about it because my grandfather was my best friend. He unfortunately passed away from COVID in 2020, very suddenly, and it shook our entire world. I have lived beside my grandfather my entire life, and so he was my second father. My grandfather was somebody who, was a working man. He worked very hard all the time. He worked hard for the people that he loved. He worked hard for the people he didn't know. He worked hard for anybody he came across at any point in his life. And he was an amazing, amazing man. He was an AEP lineman who retired and then began doing construction to kind of, keep making ends meet and kind of providing a life for our family. He was a devout person who followed the Lord. He liked to live his life in the way that he would serve anybody he met in any way. And I always remember, and this is something I still say to this day, almost every night before I go to bed, is just, may we all live a life that's pleasing to you. That is what he said after every prayer, after everything he did, is we all want to live a life that's pleasing to you. And he, had a huge heart that really inspired, the thought behind the pantry as well. The other person pictured is my father. That's my guy. I love him so much. He unfortunately did not have a very good home life as a child. He grew up in city housing in Bristol, Virginia, and he was the youngest of 8 children to a single mother. You know, to not get too much into his personal life, a lot of things plagued his life: drugs, alcohol with his family, the people around him, the area that he lived in. And, he made the decision to make a life for himself. Um, Ultimately, my dad left home when he was very young, and he began to work. He began to attempt to go to college. It was very hard for him to go to college because of the financial piece of it. So he ended up leaving college and was working, for Coca-Cola, and then met my mother and eventually started working as a firefighter. He ended up inheriting my grandfather's construction business, and has since also, got licensed to do anesthesia at a dentist office. So he has completely switched his life around from when he was young in his teen years and on beyond that. And these two people are really who I attribute the pantry to. They are the ones who have inspired me to be, a servant to people, to love everybody, and to love the Lord, and to just really be involved in the lives of everybody. So I can't talk about the pantry without talking about them for absolutely hours, and that will I could go on and on and on, but I will move on, I promise. So, how we started. Um, Honestly, the first part was, and I didn't include this in a bullet point, but I had started this job and had a bunch of stuff left over from college. I had notebooks, pens, pencils, just stuff that I hadn't used, and I didn't want it to go to waste. So in my office, I had opened up a little free spot where I told all my RAs, said, "Hey, if you or anybody you know needs anything at all for classes, I have this little box in here. Just go and grab what you want." And so within the week, it was empty, and school had not even started yet. So these were students who were working a part-time job with us, and were leaders in their campus, and they were getting items, they were passing out items, people were using this stuff, and it was very it was very important to see that the need was so evident so quickly. So I began to start purchasing things with my own money, just throwing stuff in the office, just whatever I could find, putting it in there. And at some point, we realized that we were only serving, a very small portion of students on the campus, which was just really our RAs. Um, and so I really started thinking, this has got to be something that more students would want. So I went to my boss at the time, Jimmy Whited, and I said, "Hey, I need a space." And he said, "For what, Ellison? Like, that makes no sense. You're just coming in here asking for something." And we talked long and hard about, what I had been finding out, what I had been figuring out about the campus, about our students, and also kind of talking personally about myself, kind of bringing in the idea that I was paying for my own college and I did have a lot of financial hardship, and realizing that I was not unique in that struggle. Um, so we found a place in one of our residence halls. The reason we chose a residence hall was because we wanted it to be accessible to all students. We have a residence hall policy where our students can get into any hall from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. with their card. So it was a good opportunity for students to be able to have easy access to it. So we decided to put it in there and begin to renovate and build things in the pantry to make it feel homey. So this picture in the background is actually I would say it's not necessarily a mural, but it's a little picture that me and my mom got together, and kind of designed and painted on the wall. So we wanted to make sure it had a good vibe. It felt very comfortable when a student walked in there, because truly there is no shame in needing help sometimes. Um, one of our one of the songs that we actually kind of got into in the process was a Beatles song. So it has got a slight hinge of a Beatles theme to it. And the lyric is, "I get by with a little help from my friends." So that's really what we kind of built on. And here is a picture of we have the rock on campus that always gets painted. So we threw that up there. So we started building and we started painting, and my father came in and donated all of our shelves, and we got that built up. And it was a little bit of a process, but we were, happy with the progress that we were making. And yeah, Jimmy Whited, I love him with my whole heart. He's the best. Um, Joel, I just saw your comment, but yeah. So the next part of that was making connections with people. Really, we started out with word of mouth. Um, I was going to people that I was babysitting for and being like, "Hey, this is what I'm really passionate about right now, and like, I would love like to just talk to you about it." And they ended up donating a good bit of money, and then we started talking to the chaplain here on campus, started talking to different people and making those connections, and we are solely donation based. So we fluctuate based off of what we have and what our donations are. So Jimmy gave a lot of support with that. He, supplied the paint, he supplied that kind of stuff. And he was very supportive in getting that started. And then, making connections with Melanie Trexler, who got us connected with this group of wonderful people. And those were really our big hitters at the beginning that made this possible. So it's really great to be able to come back and work with everybody, because it was really helpful in the beginning. Um, Finding donations, that's really kind of part of it. With it being donation based, and not having funding from the college directly, we have to continuously work to try to gain those donations and make sure that we are, supplying our students with the best possible things we can. So what we collect, basic hygiene products, obviously food and snacks, laundry items, and school supplies. I was a firm believer at the beginning of this that I did not want it to just be food and snacks, because I do believe that students really, have to pick and choose sometimes what they're going to spend their money on, and they shouldn't have to. Ultimately, if you are not feeling comfortable, if you are not feeling confident, you are not going to be, progressing well in college, because you're not going to have that piece of it that's just the confidence to do it. So if you are facing some sort of stress that could be easily alleviated by having an item available to you, we want to make sure that we're able to alleviate that. So we have basic hygiene products, so toothpaste, toothbrushes, razors. We have soap, shower stuff, um, anything that you would need to make yourself feel, clean, comfortable, and confident. We would like to supply that for students. We also supplied hygiene products, feminine hygiene products, so that we would not have to worry about students going without. School supplies, notebooks, pens, pencils, anything like that was really important to us. Textbooks are a little bit hard because we can't project what classes students are going to be taking, but we definitely had some donations of textbooks from years past, for students who had left them in dorms or had left them after each semester. So that was a big one as well. Usually we see a lot of those at the beginning of the year and not so much towards the end. Um, Laundry items, so laundry detergent, anything for that, to make sure that all students can wash their clothes. We do offer free washer and dryer use on campus, but you have to have the items to be able to wash your clothes. So we'd like to support and give those to our students as well. And then obviously food and snacks. It's also really important for me to have snacks that can be, easily available to students, even if they have a food allergy. So we always try to stock items that were gluten free, things like that, vegan, anything that we could get for students. That was really important. So sometimes when we get monetary donations, those do go towards kind of getting items for students with food allergies. So with the good, there's always some things that we have, had to deal with. And there's always trials and tribulations of everything. And it would be not honest of me if I said it was perfect all the time. So obviously, we've had some issues with things getting stolen. We've had some issues with, um, and this is also on myself to have donation slowing, just different things that have inhibited our ability to support students. But our biggest issue that we had run into was a plumbing issue that occurred that was entirely out of the control of the campus, out of control of maintenance, out of control of everybody, where we are just in an older building. And we had a little bit of an issue with a leak that caused us to close for a long time. I say a long time, it felt long because it was during a break as well. So that was definitely something that was a challenge that, I will be very honest to say that it is hard to continue when you feel like you have gotten, hit down by something a little bit. And that piece of it was difficult. We decided, you know, well, is this space still serving us well that we are in currently? We are in the bottom of a building, so obviously there's stairs. Is this the most easily accessible space? Such questions started coming up of just, what is going to be the best opportunity for us moving forward? Can we use this closing in a specific way to be intentional about what we're doing, what we can do to move forward to make this even better? And one thing that always really helped me out with this was, really thinking about, you know, what excuse me, I'm getting over a cold a little bit. Um, really start thinking about what the Lord is going to be doing, like what the Lord is doing that we don't even know about at this time. What opportunities are going to be presented because of this. And this is a verse that I really appreciate when talking about this. Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Gosh, I'm so sorry. Perseverance, character, and character, hope. And hope does not put us to shame because God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given us. Um, I think the biggest piece that I, think to this is that when it says suffering, it is not suffering for me, it is suffering for the students who needed the pantry. And that is the hardest part of any sort of tribulation of the project, is that there are students who are consistently using the pantry, who are consistently needing these items. And we wanted to figure out a way to make it accessible, easy, available for the students who are consistently using it. Um, so we did some updates and we did some changes. We got some large sample donations from, obviously, I see there's a bunch of Dove and Degree deodorant here. We have a large bit of samples that came in from Cetaphil, like the lotion and face wash. We have just thousands of samples that will continue to be able to supply to students. That was a really great opportunity for us to be able to get those. Also, we acquired a new space on campus, which is phenomenal. I am very excited about it. We are still in the process of working to open that space officially. We've got the green light and we are ready to go. Currently, we are offering for students to come by and get boxes made for them if need be, until we are available to open the space very, very soon. And this space is actually going to be in Fintel Library up on the floor. I think it is the third floor, but there's an elevator right off of where the dining room used to be for board meetings. So there is a whole kitchen area in there that I had never knew existed. I don't think most people knew existed. And Jesse Griffin was like, "Hey, did you know this was a thing?" And I said, "Absolutely, I did not know was a thing." But we were able to acquire that space that was and it still is a fully functioning kitchen as well. So we have a refrigerator in there. We are going to be taking out the stove just for safety reasons. But there is fridge, microwave, and a built-in shelf into the room and is accessible to students even later in the day than what it would have been accessible in a residence hall. So the library won't close until about 12. So this new space is going to allow us to supply, students things longer. It's going to be more discreet for students because it is going to be right near some bookshelves. So they will be able to go in and discreetly get the items that they're going to need in a way that even if they get an item that requires some sort of microwave to cook it, that it's going to be right there and accessible for them, all in one space. Their student center is also going to be starting to go down there. I think they're moving some different items to make that more of a student-focused area, which is super exciting. I know the print shop has been down there, and it's always moving and grooving down there, which I really appreciate. And students are always more inclined to go to the library than maybe go into a residence hall. So we are very excited about that, and we'll be still using the space in our original location for storage because we just want to make sure that we're able to keep it clean and orderly. We have also been working with Feeding Southwest Virginia to hopefully get some support from them as well. Feeding Southwest Virginia is a great organization here in Salem that supplies food to any sort of local pantry or local food local food organizations that supply to the public. We are able to get items to little to no cost from them because we are a institution. They cannot charge us. So that's going to be really, really great. And that support, there's ups and there's very minimal downs to the sponsorship. I'm very, very excited to hopefully fully lock that in and be able to get sponsored with them. And then with that, we've also attributed a group of students that are going to be helping to eventually take over the pantry. I like to say this was an idea that just because it was started by me, it is not for me. It is not meant for me. It is meant for the students, and the students know students better than I will know them because they're living their lives right now. So we are really working to really encourage students and build them up and give them a space where they can, really flourish and take this in a direction that's going to be beneficial for every student involved, no matter the time or anything like that. So we've got a great group of students that we're working with. APO, which is our service fraternity here on campus, is very excited to get started joining with us. And also Jesse Griffin over in his department, he works with students who do service as well, is joining in on the team effort. And also, President Shushock's wife, Kelly Shushock, is also a part of this initiative as well to really get this off the ground and running. So we're really excited about all of the positives and pluses that we're looking forward to in the future, and I'm very excited about it. Part of this I wanted to include is what really I've learned across, working with this. Kind of, this was almost therapeutic in a way for me to make, just to kind of look introspectively on what's been learned and kind of revisit how far we've come with the pantry. The first thing I really learned is the Lord's going to guide you in the correct way. um you know there are times where I have sat down and just been like, I have no idea where we are going with this. What is going on? This like the worst, like I don't know what I'm doing. And it's one of those things where I just needed to take a step back and realize that the plan was much bigger than I had even anticipated. And that's really the biggest takeaway I've had is there's a bigger plan for this than I know about, than anybody involved knows about, that will happen. You can really achieve what you dream with the right support. I would have never ever been at this point with this by myself. Um, I the group of people, the team of people, I could make a whole list. I could have made a whole PowerPoint specifically just a slide for each person involved. Um, and they are just the most amazing people. You know, this group, Melanie, Trexler, Jesse, Jimmy, my everybody is just absolutely, are the winners of this. They are the ones who, I attribute the success to the pantry to. And truly, they are the ones who deserve the praise for this. Um, there is going to be hard times. I realize that, the hard times really, when they feel hard, they feel really, really hard. um they feel like there's not going to be something come out of it, but kind of looking back, there is, and there will be an upside to everything. And the last point I'd like to make is that there will always be an impact even when you don't see it directly. I had my first real kind of realization that this was helpful, this was being used, this was beneficial. Actually, in a picture I'll show you in a little bit, I have a notebook that I had put into the pantry when it first started, just with, you know, please write down what you need, write down any specific things that you need, anything like that. And I think it was about the second or third week that I had come and, looked at the book just to double check and restock the shelves in the pantry. And there was a note in there from a student who was anonymous and just said, I eat because this is open. And there was like, there's more that's in there, but that's the one that really stuck out to me. It's just, I eat because this is open. And it really makes me think a lot about, students, everybody in life really are going through things that we are never going to be able to realize. Sitting in front of you today, I'm going through things, that I would never expect you to know. I would never expect to know what Colleen's going through. There's so many things that, we keep hidden in ourselves. And sometimes I realize that there's a certain level of secrecy that people have when it comes to things like this. And this financial hardship, this need of the pantry is not specific to any one student. It's everybody. When I was a student, I was projecting myself as a middle class student who, had all the things in the world that she wanted, and reality was I was not at all that. I was borrowing toothpaste from my friends, and nobody would have known that. And the students that you would least expect, the people that you would least expect in life to be going through some sort of hardship, are going through things that we're never going to understand. So there's going to be an impact there, even if we don't see it directly. So yeah, how it helps us, the book I was talking about. This was the first quote that I had put in the book when I had opened, is hope is being able to see that there's a light despite all the darkness. This is helping students in major ways. And I want to specifically highlight that, there are times on our campus, there's not food options available to students. On Saturdays when Commons closes at 7:30 or 8 o'clock, Commons is closed and Cavern is open until 11. That's it. Sundays when they're closed, that is it. Cavern is not open. They are not going to have an opportunity to get food after about 7:30. So, being able to offer this to students is really helpful and really important, because we have athletes who might be unable to get jobs, who are going to, have practices. They're going to get out of practice and not be able to grab food. And this is just an opportunity to make sure that all of our students are on an equal playing field, going into classes, going into their daily lives. So that's really the major help here, is our students and making sure that they are successful. And then I just love this quote. I really resonate with this a lot, is use your freedom to serve one another in love. I'm very blessed to be where I am in life. I have not always been in this place in my life, and I'm very glad to be able to be in a position to, help these students and help anybody who might need it. And I think if everybody used their freedom to serve each other in love, then our world would be a really great place. And I love that. So how can you help directly? Obviously, even just listening to me spiel for 30 minutes is helpful. Obviously, donations can be brought to Roanoke College, or I will personally pick them up if available. Monetary donations obviously are a thing. And then I have my contact information here, just if you have any questions, if you have anything at all, you want to follow up, just touch base with me. I'd love to touch base. That's my email. Biggest things though, donations are great, monetary things are great. Spreading the word is also just as helpful. Talking about it, speaking about it, getting connected with the right people, that's really, really helpful. And then ultimately just loving people. I think that's really helpful. I am a big fan of the trickle down effect and intentional conversations and intentional moments. And I feel like, intentional moments can lead to other intentional moments that really, help people through. And I think it all starts with just loving everybody that you're around as much as you can. So thank you for your time. And I really appreciate it. And I'd like to end on my quote from my grandfather, is may we all live a life that is pleasing to you. So thank you guys so much. And I'd love to answer any questions that you have. I didn't really look at the time to see how much time we have left, but I'd love to answer anything that you guys have.
We've got like 10 minutes for questions. A little bit over 10 minutes, so.
Since you're gonna have a refrigerator, will you take refrigerated items then?
Yeah, so we'd love to start being able to take refrigerated items. We have also started talking to our common staff to see hopefully about any food that's left over from dining services that we would be able to package up. So that fridge is going to be able to let us do that and also accept those refrigerator items. I would say that we would be able to start taking those in roughly about 2 weeks.
What was your last point again about making an impact when we don't even realize it?
Yeah,
could you repeat that, because I don't have it in front of me?
So the impact thing that I was kind of touching base with was really that there are students who we're never really going to see how we're impacting them. We are going to do this on the thought that we will be helping people and that people are being served by it, but sometimes students are private. There's a sense of shame almost sometimes, which it breaks my heart to even have to say that that's true. But there is a bit of shame sometimes for students to ask for help and need that help. And we won't really see the impact from those students, but there are times with our pantry that we do have students leave notes behind. That really show us that there is an impact there, and there are students taking and using those items.
Well, actually, the reason I've commented on that is because it was one of the most beautiful things that you put up there. Because in our Christian life, we are always making an impact. And I would like to believe, and I tend to believe, that the impact we have, we'll probably never find out about.
Absolutely.
And being a godly Christian is just living a life of love and not worrying about whether or not you get the reward of someone saying, "Oh, thank you for what you've done." It's just continuing to do it. I've sometimes prayed, Lord, if I do something to change the world, I pray that nobody will ever know it was me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's beautiful for sure.
This is Stephanie Ellison. One of the things I'd like you to clarify for me, I think I might have missed it. There is no charge to use this pantry. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Everything for the students is 100% free.
Okay. Do you have sort of a statistic of how many students you are serving in, say, a week or
So
a month?
yeah, unfortunately, I don't have that statistic quite yet. That is a piece of the puzzle that we are working on to be able to start recording for Feeding Southwest Virginia. So one of the pieces that we're going to try to start looking at is how to track that number of students that are going to be going in the pantry, just so we do have a solid number that we're serving. And we're looking for ways to do that while still trying to remain anonymous for the student, whether that's, a student ID that they would just tap in or scan a QR code and just fill out what did you grab or whatever that looks like to remain anonymous. But I would love to, eventually have that number and definitely loop around and be able to share that with you guys.
Are there particular items you are always running out of?
Yes, shampoo and conditioner is the quickest ones. Those, I think, I have my own opinion on why they think that is. They tend to be bigger items, so sometimes they are a little bit more pricey. And when we are going in with those monetary monies to go buy things, that those tend to be a little bit more expensive. So I would say shampoo and conditioner goes very, very quickly.
Well, for donations, I know that gathered here on the Zoom, there are folks who are close to Roanoke College and geographically, and others who are not so close. For everybody, is it easiest and most helpful for y'all to have monetary donations so you can make the most of those, or is it easiest to have things purchased and brought to you?
Yeah, so definitely I'm about 50-50 with it. At the beginning, when I was very new to this and kind of figuring out how the donations would look, I tend to have taken things specifically like items. Because in the process, like I'm going to be very honest, I was very young with this. I was very, I didn't really know what I was doing with the financial things with it, and keeping track of those monetary donations. At this point, I do feel confident and comfortable accepting monetary donations, but if you are in the local area and you would prefer to go and select items yourself, I would be glad to pick them up or have them brought here to the Residence Life and Housing office. And if not, I would gladly accept monetary donations as well for the pantry, and you could even include specifically for XYZ item, and I'll make sure that it goes.
It's Stephanie again. Speaking of donations, I'm down here in Yorktown. So if I, or say a group of us at church, wanted to make a monetary donation, who would we address it to?
So there's a couple ways that we could go about it, and I'd love to speak more about the logistics of it. I would say right now probably to just kind of out to the one campus pantry. Um, and then if we did something via like electronic, then I would have a specific account set up that would go towards that. So like I could set up, there would be like a Venmo account or something that would go directly for the pantry.
And during the course, just to add onto what Elle shared, during the course of this event, you can make donations through your Virginia Synod, through the Virginia Synod giving page. So I dropped the link in the chat there. That's the secure.myvanco. And at the end of the event, we're going to make a donation. I don't know, Pastor West, are we giving money? Are we going on a shopping spree? Maybe we haven't figured that out yet.
You know what? I'm not sure, honestly. Donna, are you there? Can you answer that?
Yes, I'm doing it. I think they want monetary donations right now. Ellasen, will you take, like, if somebody wanted to go like to Amazon and have something sent to you, is that possible? And how would they get that to you?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have a address that is right here to the Residence Life and Housing office. I would love to send over to you guys afterwards for anything. I'd have to write it down. I don't know the exact. It's like 105 North Colorado Street, I think it is, but I'll definitely type it out and send it your way, which is our street address. So anything that's coming there will be dropped off at our office.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
We
I
can
think you
include
can
that in
set
the
up
follow-up
a,
email.
I'm sorry. I think you can set up a wish list on Amazon, right? And then those things will be shipped directly to you.
Yeah, I can absolutely do that if that's something you guys would be interested in. That would be helpful. I can absolutely do that. We have got till like 7:05 roughly. Yeah, so I guess I'll take the time to kind of end and just say that I really appreciate you guys choosing to come over here. There was another really amazing session that was happening, and I appreciate your time and listening to what I had to say and inviting me to be here. And this was very enlightening for me, even just to speak about it and to hear the word before this. So I really appreciate having the opportunity to come on here and speak with you guys and hear your ideas and things and talk as well. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me at any point in time. I'm even just down to like, hey, let's just talk in general about this. I love talking to people. So I really appreciate it.
Well, I want to thank you for sharing with us. I'll speak for myself. I know that sometimes there's a stereotype about college students in general, about Roanoke College in particular, about it being this, school filled with wealthy kids from the Northeast. Surely there's no concerns like this at all ever with college students, and especially not at Roanoke. And so I appreciate you sharing and reminding us that sometimes our stereotypes and assumptions are not correct, and that we're invited to know people and to hear about people and to be in relationship with people. So I'm really, really grateful for your vulnerability and your honesty and in sharing this story with us.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. And
sure.
yeah, that's you really said it. You really hit the nail on the head there with the reputation that our college has, and ultimately we're moving in a position where that's just not the reality of our college anymore. And I really appreciate you bringing that up in your words. So thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you guys.
I know like there's other campus ministries, across the Synod, and some of you live in places where those things are, so that might even be a conversation to have with your campus ministry as well about what type of need there might be on other campuses beyond Roanoke as well.